Someone says the wrong thing, and heat is already climbing your neck before you decide to be angry. A film pulls water into your eyes over people who never existed. You step into an empty room and your skin goes tight, sure for half a second that something is watching. None of it fits the room you are actually in. There is no predator in the cinema, no hunter in your hallway. The reaction arrives anyway, full strength, aimed at a danger that is not there. So here is the part nobody stops on. The thing you call your feelings, the most private, most personal part of who you are. Is it even yours? Because the honest answer is stranger than yes, and once you see it, you will not be able to unsee whose hand is really on the switch. Start with the oldest switch of them all. The fear that grabs you in a dark room, moves your body before any thought has a chance to arrive. Your heart is already faster and your muscles already loaded a moment before the reasoning part of you even knows what scared it. That ordering is not a flaw. A reaction meant to keep you alive cannot afford to wait for a conclusion, so a fast, crude alarm runs far below awareness, pulls the trigger first, and lets you work out the reason afterward. Neuroscientists who study this describe it as a defensive survival circuit, machinery for catching danger that sits underneath feeling entirely. What you experience as the rush of fear is the alarm going off, not the alarm itself. The same blunt logic built the lurch you feel at a rotten smell or a crawling surface. Disgust passes for a matter of taste. It works as a filter. Long before anyone could see a microbe, that flinch was screening food and bodies for rot, poison, and disease, deciding what was safe to touch and what to keep out of your mouth. Researchers have a name for it, the behavioral immune system, a defense that runs on revulsion instead of cells. Every time something turns your stomach, an ancient screening test is running, and passing or failing it once decided whether you lived through the week. And before either of those can finish, something faster still cuts in. The flinch, the freeze, the whole body locking for a fraction of a second before you have any idea why. Surprise barely counts as a feeling. It is an emergency brake, slammed on before the slower systems can catch up, holding you still at the first sign that the world just changed. Notice what these three have in common. Fear, disgust, surprise. Every one of them aims outward, at the world, at predators and poison and sudden motion in a place that was always dangerous. So why would the switches that come next stop aiming at the world and start aiming straight at the people around you? Follow the switch as it turns inward, toward the group. Anger seems like an explosion, control slipping out of your hands. It works more as a bargaining chip. When something you value is threatened, anger floods the body with the readiness to fight, and just as important, it puts that readiness on display. The clenched jaw and the hard stare are a message to whoever is across from you that a line has been crossed and that there will be a price. In a small band where food, mates, and standing were always contested, that signal was how you held your ground without having to bleed for it every time. The heat you feel climbing your neck when a stranger cuts in front of you is the same machinery, still firing at full strength over a slight that now costs you nothing at all. But anger only works when you have the strength to back the threat. Strength runs out. Some fights cannot be won by force, and a lone body out on the open plain was a body close to finished. So what pulls a whole group to your side in the moments when you cannot push anyone anywhere yourself? The answer that looks least useful turns out to be one of the sharpest. Crying reads as the body breaking down, as weakness leaking out where everyone can see it. It works as a call. Emotional tears are something close to unique to humans, and the strongest idea about them is that they evolved as a signal. A flag thrown up when you cannot defend yourself and words are not enough, pulling others in close at the exact moment you need them most. Grief broadcasts a need, loudly and visibly, and a need that gets answered is a bond pulled tighter. The group needed the opposite signal just as badly. Laughter is older than language. Before anyone could say, "I mean you no harm," a shared laugh said it for them, a sound that drops a whole circle's guard in the same instant. It has far less to do with anything being funny than with telling the people around you that for right now, in this spot, you are safe together. Strip away the joke, and what is left is one of the oldest tools for binding a group into something that trusts itself. Then the warm story takes a cold turn. Empathy presents itself as the kindest thing a person does, the act of feeling what someone else feels. But some researchers think the wiring underneath it began as a survival bargain rather than a gift. If you can read the fear on another face, you get their alarm for free without ever having to meet the danger yourself. The most generous-seeming feeling you have may also be the most calculating, a way of borrowing the whole group's senses at no cost to your own skin. And if you can read others that closely, then they can read you just as well, which opens a quieter problem. In a world where staying inside the circle was the entire game, what kept you watching how you looked to everyone else? Shame is the feeling people are quickest to deny, and the one that once held the tightest grip. In a band of a few dozen, being pushed out was not embarrassment. No one lasted long alone out on the open plain, so exclusion was a slow death sentence, and shame is the alarm that fires before it can happen. That hot, sinking pull that makes you want to vanish the second you sense the group turning against you is an old warning system doing its job. It hurts as much as it does because the thing it evolved to prevent used to kill you. Jealousy runs the same kind of circuit aimed at a different loss. Not your standing in the group this time, but your hold on one particular person. The spike that goes through you when a partner's attention drifts somewhere else is, by one evolutionary reading, a guard reflex, scanning for a threat to a bond that once helped decide whether your line continued at all. It feels small and petty in the moment, yet it was built to keep watch. Shame guards your place among people. Jealousy guards your grip on one of them, but both of them take for granted that you were already bound to others to begin with. What was it that tied you to another person that tightly in the first place? Which brings the strangest switch of all. Love seems to be the proof that you are more than biology, the one feeling that looks like it slips free of the machinery completely. It may turn out to be the most engineered of them. The deep pull toward a partner and the fierce pull toward a child line up almost exactly with the oldest task there is, getting your genes into the next generation and keeping them alive long enough to do the same. What seems the least mechanical thing about you sits right at the center of the most mechanical process in all of life. The feeling you would defend as the realest one you have is the one natural selection had the most direct reason to build. Love ties you to a person. But there is one switch left, and it ties you to something that can never love you back. Could a feeling really bind you that hard to a place? Nostalgia passes for harmless sentiment, a soft ache for somewhere you used to be. Some researchers think it is the worn-down trace of a homing instinct, the pull back toward ground that once kept you fed and safe. When things turned dangerous, the ones who felt the tug toward known territory were the ones more likely to actually reach it and survive. What surfaces now as a longing for a childhood street or an old kitchen may be that same ancient compass, still swinging, still pointing you toward shelter that stopped existing a long time ago. Set them all in a row and the pattern is hard to look away from. Fear, disgust, surprise, anger, grief, laughter, empathy, shame, jealousy, love, the ache for home. Every one of them was tuned for a world of small bands and constant danger, a world that has been gone for thousands of years. Not one of them was shaped for the room around you right now, and not one of them ever asked your permission. The feelings you treat as the most personal thing about you were already running long before there was a you to call them yours. You did not write any of this. You are only the place where it runs. The savanna ended and its software never stopped, and the machine it has been running on this whole time is you. So the next time heat climbs your neck over something that will not matter by tomorrow, or your eyes sting at a film about people who never lived, or an empty room pulls your skin tight for no reason you can point to, you will know the reaction is real. You just will not be able to swear that it is yours. It does not belong to the room, or the moment, or even to the person you believe yourself to be. It belongs to a world that was gone long before you were born, a world your body has somehow never stopped living inside. You can name every one of these feelings. You can trace where each of them came from and what it was once for. The one thing you cannot do is shut them off, because the hand resting on that switch was never going to be yours in the first place. The strangest part was never that an extinct world built all of this into you. It is that you have spent an entire life calling it your own.